If you guys follow the tech world in the last few weeks, I am sure you've seen many videos talking about what right to repair is and how important it is to us as consumers. If you haven't seen any of those videos before, I'll have them linked down in the description below, so be sure to check those out. And the reason I'm making this video is because while other creators have done a great job outlining what right to repair is and how it's vital to us, they don't really get into what it could mean to a person in the real world, or just an example of it. So my video is going to focus on an experience I personally had with repair and how it really opened my eyes to how important third-party repair shops are. Before I start off, let me make it clear. Apple's service over the years has been exceptional to me. Whenever I've had an issue, they've usually taken care of me. It may involve waiting at their stores or having to explain the same issue a few times, but they've done a good job with keeping me happy. This was, however, almost always when my device or product was under warranty or covered by Apple Care. So let me get into the story. For some background, in 2017, I bought my brother a brand new MacBook Air, which was the base model, for about $800 on sale. It was a fantastic machine and he loved it. He used it for 2 years without any issues whatsoever, but in the summer of 2019, it just stopped working out of the blue. It wouldn't charge and it just refused to turn on, and I had no idea what was going on. After a quick troubleshooting session, PRAM reset, all the usual stuff, I knew the problem was not something simple. I decided to take it into Apple to see if they could figure it out. So I made an appointment at my local Apple store and took the MacBook Air in. After repeating a lot of the initial troubleshooting steps I had already done at home, they do determine that the issue was something a little bit more complex. So the genius said, give me a few minutes, let me take it to the back where the head technician is, and maybe he can figure out what's going on. So after about 20 to 30 minutes of sitting around, the genius comes back out and tells me that the issue has something to do with the logic board. That's something you never want to hear when you're at an Apple store. And the only solution he could provide me with was a full logic board replacement, which would cost me $550 plus tax. And I wasn't really surprised by the cost, but was very frustrated that the only solution they had was it needs a new logic board. I asked if they had been able to identify what the exact issue was, and to my surprise, they just said no. We don't usually go into board level repairs at the store. And I can't recall his exact words as to what he said, since it's almost been 2 years, but he said that it wasn't cost effective for the store to handle repairs that aren't just a quick swap in, swap out of a part. And I found this genuinely crazy and asked him if he seriously expected me to spend $550 fixing a laptop that I only bought for $800. His response was apologetic in tone. He was never rude, but he said that this was the only solution they could offer me at the store. And honestly, I was pissed because it was clear what they were doing. They had me in the store. They either wanted me to spend $550 on a repair, or they just wanted me to buy a new computer. Now, I will say they never outright said you should buy a new computer, but it's pretty obvious that the entire environment is just set up for that. It's there to make you feel like that's the best option. Why would you spend $550 on a 2-year-old computer that costs $800 that would take a week or two to fix, when you could just walk out of the store then and there with a brand new computers for a few $100s more? I was sure as shit not going to spend $550 on a repair, and I refused to buy another laptop since I'd only had this one for 2 years. And I just kept asking him to give me other options for diagnosing the issue. If you're not going to do it, who else can? And he finally said that I could visit an authorized Apple store or a third-party repair store because they were usually a little bit more flexible and would do board-level diagnostics and repairs. I knew this would be my next step anyway, but I kept pestering him just to see what would happen if someone who didn't know what to do in this at this stage was in a similar situation. I will give the genius credit, though, where it's due. He did immediately hop on a nearby Mac and pulled up a list of authorized stores, and he said, these were one of the best places to go, and that would be your best bet. So while he didn't really help me out in the store, I will say that at least this particular genius was helpful and didn't just leave me hanging and said, we can't help you. Go find out something on your own. So then I decided to go to an Apple authorized store, which I've been to before a few years ago for another issue. I do remember their service being good, and they were just very welcoming and nice. So after leaving the Apple store, I just went right there to the independent shop and recounted this entire saga to them. They did say that under Apple guidelines, that solution is usually what's recommended. They were not surprised by it. They, however, did say that we could take the laptop and try to diagnose the issue, but they did say we can't promise that we'll be able to fix it for cheaper if in fact the entire board has failed. However, if there is a smaller issue that we can find, we will fix it. You know, it was good enough for me at that point. I said, if the logic board is truly dead, then I'll just move on from this computer. However, if the issue was smaller, I would like to get it fixed so I can get more use out of this machine. Apple they make good laptops, so they can last more than 2 years. They did send me out with another heads up saying that it could take 1 to 2 weeks for them to find an answer. But I said, it's fine. Take your time. And believe it or not, 3 days later, I get a call from the technician from the shop, and they had already found the issue. The issue was the left I/O flex cable had failed and had caused my computer to stop accepting any I/O inputs, including the charger. And the cost for this part? $10. That's it, $10. I honestly thought the guy, I thought I heard the guy wrong, and I was expecting that the computer would be fixable, but would take $200 to $300 at minimum, but $10 was insane. And I'm not even joking. Here's a screenshot of the invoice where you can see they charged me $10 for the cable and $45 for labor, which was more than fair in my opinion, given that they also spent the time to diagnose the issue. So I gave them the go-ahead, told them to get it fixed, and they had the MacBook ready to go the next day. All in, it cost me $60 and 4 days to fix. And I still have the MacBook Air till date, and it runs just fine even 2 years after the repair. So the same MacBook Air that Apple wanted me to replace the entire logic board on, which essentially would have totaled out this MacBook Air. $550 for an $800 computer, that's not sensible. The experience really opened my eye to why independent shops are so important. If these shops didn't exist, what would stop Apple and other companies from just saying, hey, we can't repair something, we can only replace it or do something crazy for an exorbitant amount of money? Sure, getting service from service or hardware support from an OEM directly has a lot of advantages. They usually have parts in stock. They can turn repairs around quickly. The repairs are usually completed to a very high standard with all the correct tools and methods. And additionally, in some cases, they do come with a short warranty to ensure the customer has a recourse in case of further issues. So there are valid reasons to go for that. Now, there are still times, as I said, I would absolutely trust Apple to do a repair compared to a third party. But what if Apple just straight up refuses to fix something? What can I do? Quite honestly, I'd be shit out of luck if third-party shops didn't exist in this case, right? Right to repair doesn't mean that you can't go to Apple or the manufacturer for service or hardware support. It just means that you have more options. People often forget that a lot of places around the world don't have Apple stores. So if you're in one of those places, you have an issue, even diagnosing it would require you to ship it to Apple, which is not realistic in most cases. Not to mention, if you do send it out to Apple, they take a week and get back to you saying it'll cost something insane like $550 for a logic board. You would have wasted all that time on top of being without your device for so long, where a local repair shop would be able to diagnose and turn around these issues way quicker. The takeaway from this entire experience for me was very simple. I still want Apple to be available to give me support and service directly from them if I want to get it from them. But I also do want more options. Apple has insane rules and guidelines which often works against the best interest of the consumer. And I had another story which I'll link right up here, you guys can watch that, where I outline one of those stories. But without options, we would have to just abide by these crazy terms and often pay way more than we have to. I saved $500 and extended the life of an otherwise excellent machine because of a third-party shop. Without them, I'd either be out $550 for the repair or $1,000+ if I had to buy a new computer. On top of which, this MacBook would have only needed a $10 cable, but would have ended up being sent to a landfill and just being so wasteful. So for a company that loves to tout how much they care about the environment, that just isn't very environmentally friendly, is it? If you could just think about it, they've got to get this under control. So if you have any crazy Apple or third-party repair stories, please do share with me down in the comments below. I'd love to get a discussion going to see where you guys stand on this issue and what your experiences are. And if you haven't already, be sure to follow me on social media for more content and behind the scenes. I shared the story on Twitter like 2 years ago, believe it or not. So all the handles are right here on the screen, and of course linked down in the description as well. So be sure to check those out, and be sure to subscribe to the channel while you're at it as well for more Apple content. That's going to be it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.